this evening of your time, and you create time to exist. Allow us to lay down a few foundations for this interaction this evening of your time. If you wish, you may use the entitlement, acting it out. Well, we have discussed many times with many of you the idea of your imagination being utilized as the template to design the reality you prefer to have over the one that you no longer prefer. And we have discussed many times various methodologies in utilizing that imagination as a blueprint, as you say, in order to see how you can bring that blueprint into physicalized manifestation. We have discussed the idea of junctioning with your imagination, creating in your visualization capability the you prefer to be, and then in that sense, junctioning all your senses into it, knowing what it would be like to think as that person, to feel as that person, to act as that person, to have the attitude of that person, to smell, taste, touch, see, hear as that person would, and thereby to acquire those patterns for yourself, to become that person you see in your imagination you say you desire to become. This patterning, this identification, this mirroring, this mimicking, this copying, very strong technique, very impactful technique. But we would like to carry that a step further, if we may, at this time. You are, as, of course, I have acknowledged many times, physiological beings in a physiological world. You relate still, in many ways, very strongly to the idea of the presence of what you call a physiological solid object. What you say you can touch with your hand, see with your eyes, hear with your ears. These ideas, therefore, have a great deal of impact. These physiological symbols, these tools, these representations of ideas in physical form have a great deal of impact upon what you may call your nervous system, your electrical conductivity. You place a great deal of importance upon the idea of physical solidity. Therefore, let us use that importance, let us use that idea to further the impact of your ability to create the reality you prefer over the one you do not. Therefore, in acting it out, in junctioning with that imagination you prefer to be, after conjuring up, as you say, an image of who you would like to be, as opposed to who you believe you are right now, in conjuring up that image, in watching how that person, that imaginary you acts, the kinds of things that imaginary you does as opposed to the things you have been doing in your past that you no longer want. Remember, everything is vibration. Actions, attitudes are indicative of certain vibrational frequencies. And the lifestyle that is representative of those vibrational frequencies will be the only lifestyle you can experience, the only circumstances and situations you can experience in your life if you only have the frequencies and attitudes and vibrations of the person you would rather be, rather than the person you would not rather be. Now, to help physicalize it all the more, we have talked about many times the whole idea of act on it, act it out. But again, how many of you have taken that quite literally? All right, a few, here and there. But how far? How deep? We have talked about the issue that many of you already realize, the idea that life, as you say, is a stage. You are actors. But how many of you really act out? In any way, shape, or form you can, what your imagination tells you is who you want to be, is who you are. Really, physically, act it out. Now, some of you have, perhaps, other terminology for the same idea. Some of you say, mock it up. But sometimes that only means a mental exercise. Perhaps the idea will be more precisely said in what you may call theater terminology, block it out. Not meant in the idea of suppression. The idea of having a stage area, and as you say, blocking it out, deciding where things are, where physicalized objects will be, where your props in life will be, to aid and assist the play that is unfolding. So, when you get an image, a vision of the you prefer to be, physicalize it to the best of your ability. Symbolize it in physical objects. Let us say, you have a great desire to be, as you say, president of multi-million-dollar corporation. All right, fair enough. It exists on your planet. The idea, therefore, to assist you in accelerating your ability to be that individual. As we have already said, of course, do all the things you can do. Act upon all the things you can act upon that really excite you, because excitement, as it is connected to the ultimate idea, the ultimate goal, the ultimate picture that really excites you, anything that comes along that is the most exciting thing you can possibly do is connected to that idea and will get you there, will lure you there if you act on it with integrity. But the idea of acting on it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to just wait for an opportunity to come along. You can create an opportunity, and it doesn't even necessarily have to be, in your terminology, a physicalized opportunity that is connected to anyone else. Create the opportunity. Create the atmosphere. Create the scenario. Find a space, a place. Fill it with all the props you can, whether they are, in your terminology, the real objects or not. Draw a picture, literally. Paint a picture, draw a picture of you in that reality. The more you can physicalize what is in your mind's eye, the sooner you will get into the habit of acting in that vibratory state. Paint a picture, or even take it one step further. Make it three-dimensional, as you say, since you live in a three-dimensional world. Perhaps you can find a friend who already has an office, and perhaps when they have gone to lunch, you can play act in the office. Get in touch with what it would feel like to put your hand on your desk, to walk your floor, to look out of your window over your multi-million-dollar empire. Get in touch with that. Learn to play as a child plays. That's how they create the reality they grow up into anyway, to begin with. That's how you used to do it. What stopped you? When did you forget how you created the reality you have? You were taught out of it by many of the assumptions that your society has. Remember it. Relearn it. Learn to play again. It is very constructive. It is very impactful. And it is very accelerating. In any way, shape, or form you can, block it up as a prop. Even if it is not the actual material you ultimately will be in touch with physically, create as many props as you can. Create the scenario and the atmosphere to the extent you can. And we understand, we are not saying that you have to necessarily do it in front of other people who might, in your terminology, think you have flipped a cog, as you say. But talk it out. Go through the motions. Literally, talk it out. In other words, if you are in what you may call your corporation office, and you are now, as you say, responsible for the comings and goings and interactions of many different individuals, and you have a particular project in mind, then act it out. Get all the information together you already have the ability to get together, all the scheduling, all the ideas that would be exciting to you, pulling the projects together, and imagine, go through imaginary dialogues with all the types of individuals you believe you would have had to have hired to work with you, who will be willing to assist you. All right, you do this, and then this needs to be done, and here I think this probably would find a good time for this. Act it out, literally, all the way through, as if you are reciting a play. It is the play of the life you want to live. Act it out as fully as you can in every way, shape, or form your imagination can. Bring it into physical, as you say, blocked up reality. Create the props. Do that, and very swiftly, the more you, as you say, dissolve into that, the more you become that idea, you will find that those props will very rapidly be replaced by, in your terminology, the true symbols, the real event. You will become accustomed and acclimated to being in that vibratory awareness, and you will no longer have the habit of someone who is not. You will acquire the habits of someone who is used to being in that environment, and that is what will radiate from you and attract the true situations in your life to give you an opportunity to play it out, as you say, for real. But play it out for real while you are doing the play. It is for real. Get into those habits. Allow yourself to acquire the traits. And you will be that person. And when you are that person, you will attract that lifestyle. So you cannot have anything in the universe except a reality that is representative of the vibration you are. And you cannot have a reality that is a vibration you are not. When you change the vibration that you are in that way, when you surround yourself with all the representations of the things that really reflect who it is you say you want to be, you will be that person, and that person will then have absolutely no other ability but to attract all the things in your physical reality that are truly representative of that person, of being that individual. So act it out. Get involved. Pick up your building blocks. Once again, the ones that now are represented to you as adult building blocks. Use that imagination and physicalize it in any way, shape, or form you possibly can. If you will, take some time, perhaps if it is of interest to you. You may recognize in what you may call some of the personal histories of some individuals on your planet who have, in your terminology, achieved high levels of abundance, high levels of recognition, that is exactly how they got there. When something excited them, they took the time on their own. Perhaps if there were friends present who could help them, then that is of assistance too. But they took the time on their own to, as best as they could, as you say, block it out, set up the props, and get into the habit of actually doing that thing by surrounding themselves with the physical representations which would kick off the neurological responses in their body. So that there would be no other way their reality could be, that there would be no other truth for them at that time. It will work. It always does. We thank you at this timing for allowing us to illuminate and reflect to you one more methodology, one more way that you have of creating yourselves to be the way you prefer it to be. Remember that there is no one right way. There are as many ways as there are individuals. That is why there are as many individuals as there are. There are as many facets to the multidimensional crystal as you can possibly imagine. That is what being an infinite creator is all about. Infinity. At this time, in return for allowing us to interact with you in this way, in return for functioning as ambassadors and representatives of your civilization, in return for allowing me to function as an ambassador and a representative of our respective civilizations, in return for that gift of sharing, I ask you now, in what way may I be of service to you?
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
Good day. Lately I've been excited about checking the Bible.
All right.
And
checking your Bible.
Yes.
All
and
right.
Suddenly, with all the teachings we've been receiving from you and everything, a lot of things make sense.
All right.
And,
you are looking at certain things in a different light. Yes.
Yes. And one thing that is not clear for me, maybe you spoke about before, but I didn't hear, is about what is exactly the meaning, or another name that we could call the Holy Spirit.
Holy Spirit.
The Holy Spirit, yes.
Thank you.
And
the idea of what you may call Holy Spirit, from our point of view, in a sense, is the collective electromagnetic mentality of your entire planet. It is the electromagnetic sea of energy, consciousness, in which you are immersed as individuals. It is what connects your minds to each other telepathically. That is why the idea of Holy Spirit, as you say, electromagnetic mentality, is connected with inspiration, the acceleration of that blue-white electromagnetic light that ignites your combined telepathic mentality. That is why the idea, the phenomena, you say, speaking in tongues, which is simply an archaic reference to telepathy, in a sense, has been relegated to the idea of the Holy Spirit. Because when you are at a high accelerated level of that consciousness, when you match that frequency of your combined consciousness, when you match and align with that level of entity awareness, then you are one united planet in thought, in heart, in spirit. You begin to recognize that you are, in fact, a world spirit, and that all the idea of individuality is not forsaken within the idea of unifying as a world spirit, but is in a sense reinforced, is strengthened. Each and every individual becomes a literal individual flame, representing the entire world flame, the world energy, the world light, the world spirit, the electromagnetic mentality, the electromagnetic consciousness. You understand?
Yes, I do. And does the sound sometimes we listen to in our ears, that doesn't have to do with that? I mean, it's about represent the same thing.
Sometimes You can have what you may call sonic translations, auditory translations when you tap into certain levels of awareness. Sometimes it is representative of many different things. But yes, certain frequencies, certain tones, certain information, sometimes sounding quite literally conversational, can be representative of tapping into and aligning with that higher vibratory electromagnetic energy.
Okay.
That does not mean it doesn't have a consciousness of its own. We do not mean in that sense to depersonalize it. It is very aware of itself as an entity, as a being, as a consciousness. But at the same time, it knows of itself as made up of your collective consciousnesses. For remember, all of consciousness is multidimensional, holographic, and can be approached from many different directions, any different direction. And it is always a matter of it being both this and that, as opposed to having to be this or that.
Yes.
Does that assist you?
Yes, thank you. May I ask another question
Please.
related to this? Okay, what is the relationship exactly with this, with the infinite creator?
It is simply one of the manifestations, one of the faces, let us say on a gradiated level. You may simply talk of the idea of the whole infinite, and you may, just to be colloquial and brief for a moment, simply consider that it has rendered itself into varying degrees of collectivities, parceling itself into further and further compartments, in a sense, arriving at what you would call the physiological level last. So simply the idea of world spirit is, shall we say, a step above the breakdown of individual consciousness, you follow me, in terms of your physical reality.
Yes, I see. Okay.
That is a very colloquial way to look at it, a very symbolic way. It is the best way that it translates into your language. It isn't necessarily perceived exactly that way from other dimensions of consciousness, but that's the way it makes the best sense in your language, you understand?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Shooting!
Hi, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
Thank you.
Speak up so that all may share.
Several months ago, I had put out to the universe, so to speak, that I was ready to receive any information, from our space brothers that might be necessary to heal, the planet and our fellow man at this time. In the past several weeks, I've had some experiences in my home that seem, I don't even like to use the word, extraterrestrial really, but the energy seemed to be that way.
All right.
And I'm wondering, what is the best method of communication? Does it need to be an out-of-body experience?
No, it does not. In a sense, because, once again, you are a physicalized being, shall we say for now the best method of communication is to trust that whatever your imagination is getting is what you need to get, and to act it out, to act on it, to do the thing in your life that excites you the most, so that through your actions, through your service, you will then continue the flow of information to be played out in whatever way represents how you need to play it out as the individual you chose to be. In other words, by doing, you learn everything about all your connections, because the more you do, the more you make room for more information to come through. And that way you receive the totality, in a conscious sense, of all the things you need to know. By doing, by being fully who you are, you understand?
Yes.
And by trusting that your imagination always provides you as the gate, as the conduit, as the connection source, as the communication source, all the information you need in the way you need it. Important line. In the way you need it to be able to apply it in your physiological reality. It isn't that it can't come in any other way, but you see, that is not the most efficient way. You can receive information, but then if that information does not come in a format that would allow you to apply it in your physical reality, you'll just sit there with it. Oh, what do I do with this now? So the idea usually is that when it comes into your imagination, it doesn't always appear to be coming from someone else, because it has already been translated into a format that makes sense in your reality, so you can immediately apply it, because that's efficient.
Right, but what about the ones that do not seem to apply to the way I regularly do things? I mean, the ones that, I don't even like to say bring up fear, but an unknown kind of situation.
That's self-reflective. That's for your own growth. That's so you can face the things you have been suppressing within yourself, the old habits, the old ideas, the old definitions, and decide whether or not you want to keep them or whether or not you want to change them. That's self-reflective. Remember, that's part of the process, too. The idea of being in communication with other levels of consciousness is never meant to be at the expense of who you are as an individual, and your pace and your growth will always be completely as important as anything that's coming through you. So, when you are comfortable with being who you are, and when you expand the notion of who you are by definition, then more information and higher levels of information can come through you, understand? But that information will always wait for you to be comfortable, understand?
Yes.
And now and then, therefore, sometimes the information will be of the style to give you an opportunity to decide who you next want to be. And Let's say for now what station or what program you decide you want to tune your dial to. You understand?
Yes.
Does that help you?
Perfectly.
Oh, I
Thank
want pleasant
you.
dreams to you. Shilling!
Hello, Bashar.
Oh, good day to you.
I have a question. I've been going through a lot of personal turmoil.
Oh, how exciting.
Unlike
Great
a lot of,
change.
and I seem to have about 3 or 4 different career choices, all of them.
3 or 4 career choices.
Yes, I love music. I love to act.
Oh, all right.
I've made money doing both.
All right.
I also like to do a few other things, but I have been feeling stagnant here.
Why?
I keep flying from one to the other, not really concentrating. So I've been thinking of moving out of the Los Angeles area up to Washington State, to Seattle, to get a new perspective, because I feel like the energy doesn't
Does that excite you?
That excites me, and yet I hope that I don't run into the same patterns up there. I'm trying to find out how do I land on what really excites me? How do you choose that?
One moment.
Choose it?
You may be under the misassumption that when we talk about the idea of what excites you the most in life, that you have to pick one particular thing that will be the most exciting thing you will ever do for your entire life. One overall career. That is not what we mean. It can be that. But the idea is that at any given moment, what it is that excites you the most, do it. Remember also that many different things that many of you call careers may simply be different methods of doing it. The overall category that excites you the most. Creative expression may simply be it. It may be as simple as that, and perhaps singing and painting and acting and all the other ideas are simply different ways, different tools you have to express the thing that excites you the most. Creative expression in any way you can do it. Redefine your category. See what your category is, your broadest category. The idea doesn't mean that you have to absolutely forsake one endeavor for all other endeavors, that you have to make one be absolutely more exciting than any other. If you do fluctuate in that way, get in touch with whether or not the fluctuation is due to your lack of definition, lack of clarity of definition about who and what you are and what you really prefer. If you find that the fluctuation still goes on after you have clearly defined what your strong intentions are, then take it for granted that the fluctuation is representative of who you are and not representative of being indecisive about who you are. You understand? Many of you are becoming generalists now. You don't necessarily have to become specialists.
Mm-hmm. Do you think it would help location-wise, though? Do you think where you are...
It can give you perhaps a clarity of perspective. It can allow you perhaps to begin to see, as you say, the forest instead of the trees.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. The idea is to simply trust your instincts and do not analyze yourself to death. Allow yourself to trust that you are, all of you are, creative expressions, creative beings. And you have many different ways of expressing that, and no one methodology has to take precedence over all the others. If you find that you can use them all to express the overall idea of your creativity, then by all means use them. You do not have to be so mutually excluding or selective in that sense. All right?
Hello.
Sure, yes, continue.
Okay, yeah, I've been doing a lot of expanding and
all right.
Very exciting things. But it seems like the more exciting the thing is and the more perfectly it is what I want to do, the more I have a resistance to it. Like,
all right,
another part of me, well, that's what I'm wondering. I think it might be some kind of subconscious programming.
Oh, all right. What kind of
resistance
do you experience?
Just nervousness.
Just nervousness.
Lack of poise.
Lack of poise.
Yeah.
Oh, poise.
Well, internal poise, energetic poise. My energy goes really unstable. Like if I have a job interview, did you catch that? If it's a job I don't care about, my energy is fine. But if it's like the best job and I really want that job a lot and it really excites me a lot, then I get really nervous about creating the perfect.
Oh, all right. May I ask you a question?
Yes.
Well, thank you very much. You're saying, therefore, when it is a job you don't care about, in your terminology, no problem, yeah?
Right.
All right. You are therefore saying, when it is a job that does not represent you, no problem. When it is a job that does represent who you are, that is when you start getting, as you say, jittery.
Yeah.
But if you stop to think about it, You can reverse the circumstances easily because the job, as you say, the idea that doesn't make you nervous has nothing to do with you. The idea that does make you nervous is who you are. And you can start to translate what you call nervousness into the recognition that it is simply excitement. Do you remember that anxiety and excitement are the same energy?
Yeah.
One from a different point of view and the other.
Right. I do understand.
Right.
I was wondering that how you
One
polarize
moment. We're getting there. One moment. Allow yourself to begin to realize that when you feel that feeling, when you feel that energy that you are calling nervousness, that energy is there telling you, this is who you really are. You have hit it, as you say, squarely on the head. You are in perfect alignment with who you chose to be. That's why you're getting this energy.
Right.
Now, the only reason at that point it would translate into nervousness is if somehow you doubt that you can be who you are.
Right.
How can you be anything else? How can you be anything but who you are? Can you answer that question?
No, maybe you'd like to consult my subconscious mind.
All right.
The programming that...
All right.
I agree with that. I understand that.
One moment. Let's take it a step further, shall we?
Yeah.
Let's assume right now, simply because it is my preference to assume this. You don't have to assume this if you don't want to. But it's my preference to assume you do not have a subconscious mind. How does that feel?
Well, I feel more in control.
Thank you. Thank you. Exactly the response. Because if you realize you don't really have a subconscious mind, and that's simply a convenient label, then all of a sudden you realize that the truth of the matter is, I am consciously choosing to believe I cannot be who I am. Why would I choose that? I don't know. Maybe I don't have to choose that anymore. Thank you very much. I won't. I'll choose to be who I am. This idea, this game of the unconscious and subconscious mind, oh yes, it can have real effects, but you have created it as a convenient label. This whole idea of programming, it can have a real effect, but it is only the product of a definition, of belief in a definition. And once again, if you remember that when you know you have a program, when you know you have a pattern, when you know you have a habit, you don't have it anymore. A habit is something you do you don't know you're doing. That's the definition of a habit. When you know you have it, oh, maybe it's a program. Oh, maybe it's a pattern. Oh, maybe it's a habit. Once you make the realization, you're beyond it because you have to be outside of it in order to know you had something like that. So once you recognize that it might be what has been responsible for your behavior, once you recognize that, you're beyond it. And you don't have to assume that it has any inertia or any momentum on its own. Anything that then repeats from that point forward is simply your choice to believe that it must for some reason that your society has taught you and that you have bought into. So forget about the subconscious idea and the unconscious idea. Once you recognize that you had a habit, you don't have it anymore. Ask yourself, well, does it serve me to continue to believe or buy into this notion? No, it doesn't. It's not what I prefer. What do I prefer to believe in? I prefer to believe this. Then act that way. Then use the idea we have already explained of junctioning with the you prefer to be. You will develop a new habit. You will create it right then and there consciously. And you won't have to assume that you really have some unconscious or subconscious barrier to break. Now, some individuals can create a very strong fixation on that, and in a sense, therefore, in essence, they do have that to break. But the creation of the subconscious, the creation of the unconscious is your creation. It is simply a convenient label that gives you a convenient place to put things that you don't want to look at. But it's all right there. It's all right there. You are one consciousness. Knowing that you are one consciousness, as you say, lets you know you're really in control. And it gives you the opportunity, I say opportunity, to take responsibility for having chosen to believe in negative things. So that once you take responsibility for having believed in a negative definition, you can decide that you no longer want to believe that. You can decide what you do want to believe. You can act accordingly, and you can get that reality. Understand?
Okay.
Does this help you?
It does, and I just wondered if you could... It helps a lot.
All right.
I wondered if you could give me any, maybe, like, meditational techniques to help put more trust in the positive sides.
All right. But let me ask you another question as a response.
Okay.
Why do you need any special tool to put trust in a positive side when all you need is the same energy and the same amount of power you have always used to put trust in the negative side? Why not simply just decide that you will now put the trust in the positive side and that will take care of it? Why not just decide? Can that be a sufficient meditation? Just decide. Can that be sufficient for you? Or do you believe that believing in the negative somehow is more intrinsically easy than believing in the positive? If you do, then examine why you have that belief, and that can be your meditation too. Remember, what your society has labeled doubt to be is lack of trust. It isn't a lack of trust, it's a trust in the negative.
Mm-hmm.
So, if that's not your preference, why trust in the negative? Just decide, is this what I want? No, it isn't. I will now trust in the positive. That's my decision. It will stick. Nothing else has a mind of its own to change this until I choose to change it. That can be your meditation if you wish.
Okay.
Just decide.
I've been doing that a lot, and
Why a lot?
Excuse me?
Why a lot?
I suppose I haven't been doing it all the time, right? Well, sometimes I do it, and then...
Yes.
And then, like, I get a reflection of maybe a reality that I don't want to have anymore.
Nope.
No?
Cannot happen. You cannot do it and get a reality that is not reflective of what you really are doing.
Uh-huh.
So, if you are getting a reality you don't prefer, you are still choosing to do that idea, to buy into the negative idea.
And
it's giving you an opportunity to see that. Also, however, here's a tip, as you say, here's a clue. Do not immediately, just because of the way it looks, assume that what you're getting is a negative reality. Remember, all situations are fundamentally neutral and do not have built-in meaning. Just because it may look the same as it always has, if you really are a different person, why would you assume it has the same meaning just because it looks the same on the surface?
Yeah.
So don't give it that meaning, and you will not be being an example of the old habit. Understand?
Yeah.
Does that help you?
It does. I'd just like to share something with you, though.
All right.
That's really good advice, and it works for me. It really does.
All right.
But I'd like to say that it's really a challenge
if you
when,
say so.
Like, you know, your car breaks and it's going to cost $1,000 and you're broke and you don't have a job.
As you make a difference, it will have the effect of being different. As you take these things and say, this is now different from this is more of a challenge than this is, as you make that differentiation, you get the differentiation. That's the definition. Okay. Why is this more likely to have more strength to remain in your reality than this? Why? Ask yourself why you are making the differentiation, and that, as a self-reflective meditation, can help you understand why you have the definitions you have and help you equalize all situations. All right?
Okay.
You understand what we are saying?
Yeah.
When you say, well, but it's so much harder to overcome this than this. Oh, this I can handle, but this. It's all the same. It is all the same. If they're all neutral props with no built-in meaning, they are all the same. They all weigh the same. Yeah. They are all empty shells.
Yeah, it helps to have kind of a detachment like they talk about.
Very good. Attached detachment.
Mm-hmm.
Put into it what you prefer to. Any meditation you desire, and this can go for all of you, can perhaps take the following form. When any event happens, and you feel what you may call the old tendency to start reacting, step back for a moment. Say, wait a minute. All right, let's look fresh at this. What is this really? What is the prop? What is the neutral situation? Define the neutral situation. Simply explain where all the props are, in what relation they are to each other, but give them no meaning. Then decide, all right, I could give it this meaning. I could give it this meaning. Which of these meanings do I prefer? I prefer this. I give it this meaning. And in your meditation, assume that you have unlocked yourself from the time cycle. And until you make a decision that you will give it a particular meaning, nothing will go into play until you decide, here's the meaning, start time rolling now. Understand?
Mm-hmm.
Get into that habit and see what happens.
Okay, great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Sharing.
Thank you, Bashar.
And good day to you.
Good day. I was extremely inspired by last week's session and have been listening to the tape over and over again. And the idea of the difference between spirit and will and conscious commandment. And being able to take conscious control of my destiny rather than, shall we say, turning my life and my will over to the care of God.
Well, it is in a sense the same thing. What you call surrender is taking control. It is simply going with the flow. The only reason it feels to your society like you're giving up control, and why so many of you rebel, is that you don't feel like you're in control if there's no resistance.
Wow.
Understand?
So we even create the resistance to give us the feeling of control.
Yes. So when you know you don't need to feel that resistance, you will go with the flow. And going with the flow feels like you're not doing anything, because it is effortless. It feels, in that sense, like the universe is doing it for you. And in a sense it is. Remember, it's always both. This and that, not this or that. The idea that it's got to be here or there, all there or all here, is again the product of that polarity, that dichotomy in your society. It's both. It is there and here, because you are an extension of all that is. So, when you are in harmony with that notion, you flow. The universe supports you and you're in control. And the thoughts become the things effortlessly, because they are one and the same, and there's no differentiation between physical reality and non-physical reality. No differentiation between thought and thing. It is one idea. Remember, the issue is not one of mind over matter. It is that matter and mind are the same thing. Does this help?
Very much so. Then I'm going to ask you a different question.
All right.
The area in my life that I seem to create the most confusion around at the moment has to do with some relationships that I have with, that I feel an enormous amount of love.
Yes. And so?
I have a hard time just enjoying it.
What do you expect it should be?
That it should take some form.
What form? Other than the one it has, naturally.
My fear is that it would take a sexual form.
All right. Why? Why are you afraid of that? And why do you necessarily assume that it will? And if it did, if that was natural, it would still be something that reflected something to you. If there was the fear, it would reflect what you need to work on, perhaps, and perhaps your working on that would reflect to the other person what they would get out of the situation. If it doesn't, then perhaps there is something in that for you to consider as well. But all these things are equal. Why is there fear in that idea?
Well, first there's fear in even talking about it right here.
Oh, all right, but you're doing splendidly.
Thank you.
Well, you're only talking to yourself after all.
Thank you. No wonder it's so satisfying.
All right. Self-love is where it all begins.
Back to what we were talking about.
Yes. So go ahead.
Well, I think part of it is with these particular people, they happen to be women.
Yes.
And so there's a certain fear that I have of being rejected.
Oh, all right. As what? What they don't expect?
What they don't expect, what they don't want.
May I ask a question?
Please do.
Do you believe, in a sense, I shall put it on this level, that the most important thing is to be who you are rather than someone you're not?
Yes.
Then, if they are rejecting their expectation in that sense, if the you prefer to be is not, in that sense, who they desire, why do they attract you into their reality? If you are someone whose strongest desire is to be who you prefer to be, then they, in attracting you into their reality, must be keying into that on some level. Now it is up to you, both of you, all of you, to decide whether or not all of you are really going to be who you really are, or whether you're going to be who you expect each other to be. If you simply be who you expect each other to be, then you're not in a relationship with each other anyway. A not you is in a relationship with a not them. Understand?
Yes, I do.
Is this helping to work some things through?
A little bit. I think part of the dilemma is...
Oh, dilemma. Oh, all right. I will put on my dilemma hat.
Oh, good. It's like,
Okay.
I seem to get bogged down in words and in form and in what's really going on and how to express it and...
All right. May I ask you personal question?
Yes.
Thank you. Is there simply an action of integrity that you believe you could perform, a physical action that would explain everything about who you are, and then simply allow them to get out of that what they wish to?
If I had the guts to do it, yes.
Guts?
That's what it feels like to me.
All right. May I ask you a question I asked you already?
Yes.
Is it most important to be who you are?
Yes.
Then why do you need guts to be who you are?
Well, it's kind of like what you said to the other fellow.
Yes.
It seems to go with territory.
What territory?
Of just being who I am.
It may be something that you need to face, that you need to integrate, but you don't need to suffer any longer than you decide to.
Yes.
It's up to you. You, in describing it as territory, you're the one who drew the map.
Yes.
Fill it in the way you want to. It's your territory. How do you want it to read?
Just redescribe it.
Yes, redefine it. That's all. Just redefine it in the way you prefer to. And remember, if it's a matter of fear of rejection, well, the idea is that if they reject, it is usually because you do not fulfill an expectation. But if you do not fulfill an expectation, it means that you are simply being you. Now, if you attempt to not be you, just to meet their expectation, then you are rejecting yourself. And you still have rejection. Understand?
Yes.
The only way you cannot have rejection is be who you are and not accept the invalidations of others. That's their reality, not yours. Understand?
Yes.
So, does that help?
Very much so.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
Good day. I recently took a class which talked about the Platonic solids.
Okay.
And that they're contained within an image that apparently is on an Egyptian wall about maybe 4,000 years old called the flower of life. Are you familiar with that?
To some degree.
And that this flower of life, if you dissect it rather than with spheres, you dissect it with lines, it contains within it all the Platonic solids.
How many does it describe?
7.
Correct. Although you can call a sphere the 8th,
right,
if you wish.
Right, exactly. And that...
your society thinks, generally, that there are only 5. There are 7.
That these Platonic solids, the geometry that he described it in this physical reality, was that things grow, everything grows, manifests along a combination of both a binary expansion and a fibronic progression, or the phi ratio.
Okay. That is in what you call your physiological mathematical ratios sometimes referred to as your Fibonacci series.
Right, exactly. Fibonacci series, yeah.
Yes.
He proposed also that the geometry or the building blocks, like the tetrahedron,
yes.
all that, in what he described in the Flower of Life and the Plutonic Solids, is the geometry for all dimensions.
Yes.
All right.
Anything you would call a manifestational dimension basically follows that template.
Well, even a non-physical dimension.
To some degree, it is simply, in your terms, more rarefied. Not as solidified, not as crystallized, shall we say.
Uh-huh. And that even, interestingly enough, the way cell division occurs in, well, the example was used was human cell division, follows the same similar pattern, in a sense, recreating all of the 7 or 8, actually, 8, it would be 8,
octaves. The idea that everything is vibration, therefore, is recognized as moving in octaves, generally speaking.
Yeah, musical or art or color.
Yes.
And that there are...
there are other tonal scales, but those usually represent overlaps from one dimension to another.
Right, 8, and then another 8, and the next higher 8.
We are talking about the idea of musical systems that, in your terminology, may have 12 tones and the like. There are such musical systems, or 5 tones. But these represent overlaps from one dimension to another. Usually the octave is the actual barrier, shall we say, or definitive line between one dimension of reality and another. Do remember, however, that many different dimensions of reality usually, shall we say, vector off of other dimensions at 90-degree angles, so there's always that factor to take into consideration. It is not a linear progression of dimensions. Many of them, in that sense, are holographic, shall we say, to the side, tangentially. In between what you would think of as your real moments of time are all the other dimensions of experience.
Okay. I follow that. I was following and forgot where I was. He talked about that some of this information was given to him by a man named Toth, I believe, who's 52,000 years old.
It is an archetypal consciousness, yes.
And still existent.
And still existent.
Ah.
Of course.
Okay.
Since it bridges dimensionalities. It is not too dissimilar from what we have discussed as Kachina energy. Not too dissimilar. An interdimensional being. As we have said, an extraterrestrial's extraterrestrial. That which is in between the planes of what we consider normal dimensionality.
And that he himself is from, on some dimensional level, calls himself Melchizedek?
There are ancient Orion connections to some of that. And it evokes what you may call some of the priesthood phenomena that has occurred upon your planet. To some degree, it is recognitions of old connections. It is recognitions of temporal patterns upon your planet. It is recognitions of the vibrational agreements and arrangements and patterns of energy that go into making up your physiological dimension. It is, to some degree, therefore, a gatekeeper type energy.
That makes sense with all of the Plutonic solids as being, in some sense, the stepping stones from one gate to another.
Yes. Thank you very much.
And which is what then, the whole point of showing all of this to us in this seminar was to then to tell us about a meditational technique, in a sense, visualizing some of these Plutonic solids.
Yes. They can act as keys to, shall we say, align you with different dimensional vibratory states to elevate your consciousness, yes.
It's doing that.
Thank you very much.
In my life...
The idea now of being brief will be of assistance to many others.
Sure. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Shooting!
Hi, sweetheart.
And a most joyous day to you.
First of all, I want to thank Carolyn. She's allowed me to be her tonight.
Oh.
Which is a very interesting experience.
No. All right. How does it feel?
I love it. It's great. We're really hot tonight, right? Don't you think we're hot tonight? What's that funny looking expression that you're giving out there?
Deciding whether to be, in your terminology, hot or cool.
Oh. I wanted to continue down memory lane with you.
All right.
It's
lead the way.
It's been fun. I was reviewing many of the times, or recreating many of the times that we've had together.
Oh, one moment.
Yes.
One moment.
Yeah.
Simply the identification that many individuals later, in your terms listening to this tape, will request. Strawberry!
Yes.
Now they know who is speaking.
Okay. You know, a lot of people have asked me how I got that name, and maybe I ought to share it on the tape because they keep coming up. But again, it's fun for them to come up anyway.
Yes.
But one of the fun times was a number of years ago when I asked you if you wanted to ask me any questions.
Yes.
Remember that one? And you asked me what my favorite fruit was, and I said strawberry.
Yes.
And you reflected that meant that I thought life was very sweet.
Yes.
And you started calling me Strawberry ever
Yes.
since. So that's for the people that don't remember that.
Thank you very much.
Well, I wanted to get into, many of the fun times. I was thinking over all of the really exciting times that we've had together, and they all involved around a lot of spirit of play, where we're talking about flying carpets and sailing down Hollywood Boulevard.
In a sense, I have actually only had, and still am having, one exciting time with you all.
Oh, that's terrific.
There has been no break in that excitement.
Well, along that line, I was thinking, if you would like, I would be happy to give to some of your SSANI people a workshop in limitation mastery.
They have already taken it. They have already attended and found it most rewarding.
Really? Yeah. Okay. Well, it's fascinating to be able to split things up and not know that they're not a whole thing. That's So I thought you might enjoy that.
Thank you. We did.
Okay. Well, if you ever want to say, we're still real good at it. We're still the masters of that particular area. So. Anyway, continuing along the flow, I wanted to express my enjoyment of the real concepts where the dolphin first came through, and we got to swim with the dolphins, and the idea of our telepathic brothers, and I guess sister dolphins.
Yes. They exist,
Yeah.
or there would not be baby dolphins.
Good point. Well, we're real funny tonight if you're reflecting us.
You are hysterical.
Anyway, that's all been real enjoyable. I just wanted to mention a couple things on that.
Thank you very much.
And leave you with my interesting question.
Yes.
Ch is, on this planet, speaking of the ability to be prolific, we are producing vast amounts of bodies, and are crowding them into
small areas.
Yes. Yeah. And I noticed that on your planet you said you had, what population? A couple million, something of that sort?
Of what you may call a permanent population, there is approximately the notion of 230 million.
230 million.
The idea is that the rest of the population will be temporary in nature, either, in your terminology, individuals passing through, or individuals temporarily taking on the form of our bodily mass so they can have an experience upon our planetary dimension temporarily, and then simply converting back into energy when that experience is over.
Right.
But the permanent population approximately is 230 million of your counting. Although, once again, at any given moment, fully 2/3 are within what you call spacecraft and not on the surface of the planet anyway.
Right. And the concept is very nice, with regard to our civilization evolving into a similar park-like environment.
Yes.
And I wanted to get your reflection on how you felt that we would evolve in this area in terms of handling the quantity of bodies we've produced without limiting the number of spirits. I guess you have a come and go type of
in a sense,
spirit situation. How do you see us evolving?
Well, the idea, first of all, is to recognize that you actually have more than enough room. It's simply that you are, in your terminologies, cramming everyone into a very small amount of it.
Mm-hmm.
You do not really have overpopulation. You have restriction of space. There is much land upon your planet that, when converted into what you may call a natural park-like state, will be more than sufficient for the amount of bodies you have on your world, plus quite a few more. Plus, again, as you develop your own technology to move out in what you call the stars, there will be more than enough room.
Okay, so you see it moving in that kind of...
Yes.
Good.
Also, eventually, you will be, in your terminology, incarnating less and less. And eventually, in what you may call a few of your 1,000 years, many of you will be sharing bodies, since you will not need a full lifespan experience.
Lovely. Okay, well, that makes a nice, smooth evolution.
Yes.
Good.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you, Bashar.
Sharing.
Bashar.
And good day to you.
I've been listening to you for several years now on tapes and being here.
All right, do speak up so that all may share what you have to say. Be bold.
All right. What I wanted to say is, I've never asked a question or anything here, but and I don't have one now, but I want to say how much I appreciate you being here for us.
Our unconditional love to you and your willingness to discover all that you have created yourself to be and were created to be.
Thank you. I'm definitely not the same person I was several years ago.
Not the same person you were a moment ago.
That's true.
We thank you.
Thank you.
Our love to you. Pleasant dreams. Shooting!
Good evening, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
I wanted to thank you for all the beautiful energy you bring out in us.
Oh, and you, for do understand, we reflect to you an energy, a level of energy. If you feel that energy, it's because you are choosing to match it. So what you're feeling is you.
Thank you. Recently, I started working with a audiovisual brain synchronizer.
Yes.
And I'm very excited about it, even though very little experimental research work has been done on it.
All right, perhaps you can expand the field with your own experimentation.
I'm very excited about it, and the people who are doing it like it. And I was wondering what you could tell me about it and what you're feeling about it.
One of the ways, not the only way, one of the ways that you can convert what your society has defined as left and right hemispheric activity into one homogeneous interaction, because you are one brain. The idea now again is that you are consolidating all your differentiations into one homogeneous idea. So it can blend and balance what has for a long time thought to be segregated hemispheres into one idea, creating a flow, a pattern flow of information exchange, so that your brain can function as it was truly designed to, holographically, consciously, holographically. So that everywhere has access to everything you need. And that one area doesn't necessarily have to be as limited in its capacity as it has been defined it ought to be. So it can synchronize you that way. Also, what you may call a very simple brain synchronizer is the following idea. Allow an individual, and this is very, very impactful for individuals in your terminology that experience what you call epilepsy, stuttering, dyslexia, and many similar manifestations. And the idea of brain synchronization can be this simple. When you are speaking to that individual, simply take your hands and do this. And allow their vision, not that they have to follow it identically, to simply be aware of the fact that you are doing that. And as you do that at a very relaxed pace, while you are speaking perhaps to that individual, let us say for now, just because it is a strong indicator that they have stuttering. While you are doing this, you will begin to notice that it will subside. And as you do this, you will begin to allow them to homogenize, taking visual cues from your suggestive motions. They will not stutter while they speak to you, generally, while you are doing this, if they are keying in on what you're doing. As soon as you stop, they can choose to continue that flow, or they may break it and go back to the stuttering. But while you are doing this, they will, in that sense, subdue the short-circuiting that causes the effect of the stuttering, and when you do this, they will be in harmonious communication with the totality of their brain and will exhibit a flow. This can aid to some degree in epilepsy as well, and dyslexia, and many other manifestations. Do understand, however, there are many different kinds of manifestations of this idea. This will not necessarily work for everyone. And also do remember that what you call many forms of channeling is simply a coherent and cohesive manifestation of what, when short-circuited, is what you call epilepsy. Because it is a type of electrical conductivity that in epilepsy it is simply cross-wired and short-circuiting inwardly, and when channeled is coherently flowing outwardly. It is much the similar phenomena. Understand?
Yes.
Does this assist you?
Very much so. Also, I was thinking about using positive suggestions and subliminal suggestions while the person is using the synchronizer. How do you feel about that?
It can be effective, however, we would suggest that you be very clear about your own intention, be very clear about what the other individual's belief system is regarding your integrity, because they may interpret some of your suggestions in a negative way. And that may, in your terminology, actually accelerate some of the negative experiences they might have. We would suggest that your suggestions remain basically on what you would call the conscious level. They will absorb into what they have created to be other levels, whatever they need. But allow them to know everything is absolutely out in the open, they are in control, and they are co-creating with you a manifestation, an event. They are not actually relinquishing control. They have control. They always have control. They are allowing you to be a guide. We would suggest that you remain as a guide in a conscious state for them and allow them to understand that it is up to them to absorb whatever they want when they feel they need it. And it won't be a matter of you implanting subliminal suggestions in that sense. It'll be a matter of you giving them a wide range of frequencies and allowing them to pick in their own timing on whatever level they want to, what they want, when they want it. Just let them know they will key themselves where they need to, when they need to. You will just put it all out there. You will give them all the information on all the levels all at once. In a sense, that's what we're doing with you right now. There are many things about these interactions between us that you do pick up on, as you say, subliminally. Much of what you experience as the gestures in the physiological channel's hand are actually representative of levels of conversation you are not hearing but only seeing. The idea is that we are not, in a sense, actually giving you subliminal suggestions, but we are vibrating on many different levels. You will take out of all those levels what you need when you need to. We do not have to purposely plant a subliminal suggestion. You understand? The information is there. When you decide to open a door, the information will rush right in when you need it, in the way you need it. And only at the pace you say you can use it best. Understand?
I understand. They hear the subliminal suggestions. They first hear them, so they know what will be heard subliminally. And if they okay it, my question was, would it be more effective if
it can be for some individuals. We will allow you to leave that up to your discussion with them and their discretion.
Okay. Can I ask another personal question?
Brief.
Okay. I was in a relationship with somebody, a very intense relationship, 2 years ago, and then the relationship dissolved. And
changed, transformed.
Right, and somehow I haven't been able to connect up with anybody else in all that time.
What about yourself?
Well, I didn't connect with anybody else in 2 years, and last week he called me again, and but he's not interested in reestablishing the relationship, and somehow there's a lot of excitement in me about it.
You mean in the old way?
In whatever way, he's just not interested. I don't know why he called, but
that is an establishment of the relationship.
I still feel that there's a tremendous connection there.
There always will be. Just because you may not necessarily physiologically be together doesn't mean there isn't a connection, doesn't mean there isn't a relationship going on.
Somehow I have a sense of impatience, like I want to be released from it, or be together again, but not to just somehow hang in the air.
Then have you established, firmly as you can, the relationship of yourself to yourself? Are you being fully the person you want to be?
I'm getting there.
How long will it take? Just because you may not be physically doing certain things that someday you will be doing doesn't mean you can't be fully being who it is you are right now. Understand?
I'm really very happy with everything I'm doing. I'm very excited about everything I'm doing. And this person, energy-wise, doesn't really fit into my life because he's bored with life and he doesn't have the energy.
Then where is the impatience coming from? Get on with the life you prefer.
I don't know. Somehow I still feel like I'm not released from that relationship, and there's something there that pulls me and kind of...
May I ask you a personal question?
Sure.
What did you learn about yourself by being in that relationship, in the way you were in it?
Many things, but I can't think right now of a specific thing because...
An overall idea, an overall definition, an overall category that all of the many things fit into. What did you learn by being in that relationship?
I learned that I can love unconditionally.
All right.
And even though this person that I'm so connected to is not excited about things, I can carry my own...
for that individual to catch up?
Sort of.
Why?
Yeah, sort of.
Why?
Somehow it seems that way, like there's a waiting. But
all right.
I'm not waiting with my own life because I'm very excited about everything I do.
All right. You have been connected to that individual many times in many lifetimes. Their reestablishment may simply be an opportunity for them to begin to face certain things that they feared to face before. You may simply actually only be feeling their own impatience, not really yours. Understand? You may simply be identified telepathically with them. It may not really have anything to do immediately with your life. Let them work out their own timing. Be willing to be of service. Be willing to be a reflection. That's all right. It will not hinder you. You don't have to feel that there is any unresolved idea within yourself. Let them, as you say, bounce off of you, reflect off of you as they need to. You can still willing to be of service to them in that way without in any way, shape, or form decelerating the life you prefer to be. But they may still need to see certain reflections from you in certain ways to learn about who it is they want to be. You may only be picking up on their idea that they are waiting to be who they are, rather than it having anything really to do with you. You understand?
Yes, it seems that way because it just comes out of the blue. I've been involved with something.
Then do not worry about it. Get on with your life.
Okay.
Be who you are and let them work out their own timing with you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much.
Yes.
This timing. You may all take a short break. We will resume contact in approximately 10 to 15 of your minutes of count. How's it going?
Quick announcement. Someone is parked back here in the little alleyway back here.
Consciousness communicates few ideas to you. Timing now. Timing your month called March. Month, especially mid-March month, 15th day you call Ides of March. Gate of transition, gate of connection, very strong blending, human consciousness, dolphin consciousness, whale consciousness, very strong energy gate. Once again, connection, you especially, California, Shasta, Japan, Fuji, Hawaii, connection, triangular Pacific energy flow, consciousness blending of human, dolphin, extraterrestrial. Oh, March month, be swimming in dream. Be accelerating, dream blending, society, dolphin and human and whale into one, acceleration of energy, open dream doorways, Ides of March, especially strong for receiving breathe. Energy of acceleration, bonding of civilization as one. We swim together, very active that night and all through March month of your time. For acceleration, thereafter, time of change, time of facing many ideas come to the surface of the sea that you are, to bring to surface in sunlight, to lay out and float upon, way for all to see. Be not afraid. It be pieces of your past, pieces of your present, pieces of your future blending together to form in light of sun, new sustenance to sustain you, new food for thought, and blending of heart and telepathic waves of consciousness. We thank you for timing of acceleration and for timing of ascension into one world, one harmony. So we swim in same energy sea. Our heart, our play, our life, our love with you now, and dream time forever. To thank you and share your light and love. At this time, we shall say continue.
Bashar, for new people, would you care to give some information about Dreamer?
Idea that is called Dreamer is, in your terminology, a physiological, male, large, gray Pacific dolphin that usually inhabits the coastline of your New Zealand area, but has been known to wander throughout the Pacific Basin. Any dolphin consciousness which we perceive as the other alien society upon your planet other than human life is called a dreamer when they have taken upon themselves the actual job of interfacing not only through telepathic contact and dream contact, but physiological contact, interfacing with your human species as well, to blend your civilization into one civilization made up of two distinct species. You are very, very, in that sense, fortunate, very blessed in that sense to be a world of two species. For you have right, as you say, on your own doorstep, an unlimited and beautiful opportunity to really learn to interact with what you may call non-human consciousness without having to travel to the stars to do so. That is the first alien contact that will take place, and when your world is blended as such, it will do much in the aiding of the accelerational ability for us to interact with you as well as off-worlders. But dreamer is simply the name given to any dolphin who chooses to interact with your society in that way, although this is a reference to a specific physiological dolphin in your Pacific waters. We thank you. Continue.
Hi, Bashar.
And do you good day.
I'm excited to be here.
Oh, we are very excited you are there.
Thank you.
Hi. Oh, thank you. Very profound.
Yes, yes. I've been doing a lot of processing and a lot of expanding and a lot of really growing in my love personally and unconditionally.
All right. Can you all hear this individual adequately?
I'll step closer.
Thank you.
Yes. Anyway, one thing that I've been feeling that comes and goes, but anyway, is that it's like I'm swimming in the ocean, but I'm not going from one side to the other. I get a little lost.
Lost?
Yes, because partially, I guess, what I'm doing is making a judgment on...
That you should be getting somewhere?
That I should be getting somewhere, right.
What about just enjoying the swimming?
Well, yes, I am enjoying the swimming.
But?
Well, you know, it ties into my whole thing with abundance.
Okay.
Yes. And in these years that I've been... expanding and growing and just enjoying being and doing, I have a sense that externally I should be reflecting more. I realize this, but I should be reflecting so that I can see what I'm manifesting internally, externally.
I understand.
And what I'm experiencing a lot, which I am manifesting externally, there's a lot of abundance with a lot of people that are out there providing me with a lot of things that keep me going or that I need or want, and I'm experiencing a lot of abundance that way.
All right.
However, what I'm feeling is that I really deserve to be able to do that for myself in additional ways, such as as being able to create money abundantly.
All right.
Okay.
May I ask you a question?
Yes.
In their providing of service to you, do you provide service to them?
Yes, lots.
All right.
Yes.
Then it is, in your terminology, an equal exchange. Yes, no, maybe.
Yes.
What other idea could you expand into, as you say, beyond that, to allow other methods of abundance to show themselves to you in your life?
If I can answer that this way, see, that's where I get a little lost, because what I feel that I've been doing is really touching into my excitement.
Touching into it.
Well, what I mean is that staying real sensitive to it, so that I can be clear what excites me in the moment that I can act on and so forth.
And you are acting on it?
Yes.
All right.
But I'm not getting the results. It's terrible.
Can you be specific?
Yeah. I can specifically bring up one thing which is real symbolic to me in a lot of things in my life, and that is a project that I came up with, which I basically took from just an idea, and I created it, and I created it real well, and I got it to where I wanted to have it, and just really I put a lot of love and effort into it. So then I realized, effort in the sense of completing.
You applied yourself.
I applied myself, because a lot of times it's real easy for me just to get excited about something and then get excited about something else. So I chose that since I was really excited about this and I had a lot of love with that I was going to continue that.
All right.
So then I realized symbolically in my life that I was real attached to a lot of other things, and one reason why my particular little project was not in this little was that I was real attached to it. So then in that I let it go, because I realized that my love was attached to it, so it was really mine. And in the process of letting go and coming up with a value of that, then I could kind of complete a circle in receiving. So what I've basically done is to really be sensitive to that which is exciting, that I can act on. Only I feel now that I'm not doing something that I could be doing, because I don't know. That's probably why I'm asking you this question, is because I feel a little lost, because I don't know.
Perhaps you are, for a while, simply becoming involved in the process itself and realizing that the process in and of itself is a valid place to be, just as valid as any other place you could be going to with the process. The process, in some senses, is its own destination.
I understand that, but that's where I have been, and I'm really feeling that I don't need to explore that anymore. I mean, I feel it's a step beyond that, only I'm not manifesting that externally.
Do you have the visualization of where you wish to go?
Yeah, I do have a visualization of where.
Can you define it? Do you have a particular direction that you can define in words or symbology at this time?
Well, I'm not exactly sure exactly what you want me to say.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
I'll rephrase.
Thanks.
Now that you are immersed in the process itself, and now that you have used this process so sparklingly for many other ideas, is there, you say, a feeling, as you say, there is a feeling that there is this particular direction you could be going in? Well, is there a definition for this direction? Is there some particular thing you would now allow yourself to do that you have not done before that you would really like to do?
Yeah.
What is it?
To totally divert now. I feel like, in fact, I stepped back from my project because I now feel like putting some attention to my writing, which is what I feel like doing right now. And that's what I feel like doing right now.
Yes. Then why aren't you doing it?
Well, actually, I am doing it in a sense because
in a sense?
Well, what I mean is I haven't actually put it to paper, but it's in. I'm doing it. I'm just not with pencil and paper yet.
I see. What did we talk about blocking it out?
Right. So I got that.
All right.
I got that.
Will you use it?
Yeah.
If you do that,
yeah.
Will that satisfy the urge?
Yes.
Will you feel like you are swimming in a particular direction?
Well, yes. It's just that I do that. I get real involved in what I'm doing, and I really get into a direction, and I really block out.
Yes.
But then somehow, somewhere, it doesn't back me up. I don't know. That's...
In what way do you think it ought to back you up?
Well, if I'm really doing what excites me at the moment that I can act on,
yes,
then I should be able to...
Should?
That's right.
Should be able to do what?
I felt or I feel when I really immerse myself in something that...
Stop.
Yes.
Thank you. You have opened a small door.
Good.
There may be in many cases. Now, let us simply be general for a moment. In many of these cases, as many of you discussed with us, the process, each and every idea you go through may in and of itself be simply a process, and that may be sufficient. In other words, you may think, maybe, that there is an ultimate end or conclusion or goal to a particular endeavor that you're doing. But you may find, at the same time, that doing the endeavor, that particular portion of it, may be sufficient to give you what you need. And that may be the only reason you did it to begin with, to have that experience and not necessarily carry it to what your society says is the fruition or the representation of true fruition. In other words, just because you sit down and are very excited about writing at one particular given moment doesn't necessarily mean it has to be published as a book. It may have been the writing itself is what was exciting. In other words, perhaps for you, what for some people is simply a detail, a step on the road of the thing that excites them, is for you the true thing that excites you and is not a detail. The work itself, the doing itself, may in and of itself be what excites you. And if you focus on the understanding that you may simply be a server in that way, that you may be a facilitator in that way, then individuals can hire you for your ability to do the process itself, because you are so good at the process, and that may be what excites you. Rather than really feeling like you have to have this come to this conclusion or manifest this way in your society, it may be the process in and of itself that for you is the goal and sufficient at that. Understand?
Mm-hmm.
Now, how does that feel? Yes, no, maybe. We're not saying that there cannot be certain things you would like to bring to fruition. We are simply saying that there may be these certain things, but you may be assuming that everything you do must follow that suit.
No, that resonates with me, and I do a lot of things for the actual process, just doing it, and I get a real thrill and excitement out of that.
And can you do that for others that do not find those processes exciting?
That doesn't really excite me.
Oh, all right.
I guess I'm just feeling real consciously that I don't want to just process.
It isn't a process if it is your goal itself. If sitting down and being excited simply about writing something is your goal, then that is the doing of the thing. It doesn't have to be looked at as a process of getting to somewhere else.
Oh, no. I've got that. I mean, I understand that.
Do you wish now, at this point in the conversation, to discover whether or not anything else as a quote-unquote goal has reared itself as being more specific a direction you would really like to go in? Has anything else arisen during this conversation within you as a particular direction in which you would like to proceed that you have not proceeded in yet? Who would you really like to be? What would you really like to be? Really?
Okay, well I can just take that and leave that with our conversation right now, because I can take that on my own and just meditate on that and really
One moment.
go into that. Oh, okay.
I'm not going to let you get away that easy.
Oh, I have that feeling.
Can you answer the question? What would you really, really, really like to be?
What would I really?
No,
yes.
really.
what I'd really, really like to be would be, I'd really like to be a writer that could put together my whole project and just go through the whole process and put it through.
Whole project?
My writing project.
What is it?
Well, I don't have a specific project.
Why not?
Well, because
what
I haven't...
do you really, really want to say? Until you understand what you want to say, you're not going to move in a particular direction.
Yeah,
maybe that's the crux. What do you really want to say? Get in touch with that. That can very easily define who you really are. What do you really have to say?
Yeah, so I've got three things, and what I'm going to do then is to focus in on the one that I really want to do and really do it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Keep it simple. Shooting!
Hi, Bashar.
Andrew, good day.
I've been feeling very separate and lost, and I was wondering, how do you feel a sense of safety and connection with all that is?
Do you know that you are an aspect of all that is?
Yes.
Are you sure you know that?
No.
All right. Why don't you know that?
I don't feel it.
You don't feel it. Thank you very much. Do you know what a feeling is?
Yes.
What?
It's an internal energy.
But where does it come from? How are feelings created? I'll give you our definition if you wish. Yes,
There's a response to a belief.
Yes.
An unconscious response to a belief.
Doesn't have to be unconscious. Can be a choice. Now, if you know... Oh, first of all, do you believe that?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
All right. You believe that feelings are a reaction to something you already believe?
Yes.
All right. So you say you feel cut off from the infinite.
Yes.
So what does that mean? It means you believe you are cut off from the infinite.
Yes.
Why do you believe that? What definition would you have to have inside you that you have bought into that would be your choice to say you are cut off from the infinite? Is that what you prefer to believe?
No.
If you do believe that, since in a sense you obviously have chosen to believe that, it's all right to own that, you know. You do not have to deny it. Denial of anything that you have done is the key to cutting yourself off. So don't deny your denial, first of all. So if you have created a belief wherein you have denied your connection to the infinite, own it. Don't deny that. Own it. Say, all right, I did choose to believe I was cut off. Now you can ask yourself, all right, how did it serve me to believe that? Go ahead, ask yourself. Did you get an answer?
You created more aspects to experience.
All right. Was that enjoyable?
No, not right now.
Did you learn something from it? Did you learn something from having created more aspects of yourself to experience? Anything at all? Name one thing you learned from having created all those different aspects. How about, I don't prefer to do that?
I think what I would like to learn is that they stop hating each other.
That who stops hating each other?
The different aspects.
How can they have minds of their own?
Well, they seem to have their own opinions.
Yes, they seem to, but it's your opinion. Why is your opinion of yourself that way?
I don't know.
Take a guess. What kind of an opinion would one have to have of oneself in order to feel cut off from the infinite?
No, that such a thing doesn't exist.
Such a thing as what?
All that is the infinite.
Doesn't exist?
Yes.
Oh, all right. Do you exist?
Yes.
Oh, all right. Are you conscious?
Yes.
All right. Do you have an imagination?
Yes.
All right. In your imagination, have you been able to conceive of a concept that is called all that is?
Not really.
You were just talking about it. That doesn't mean you have to have a conscious analytical awareness of all that might be, but do you have within your imagination the concept that there might be something called all that is that represents everything there could be?
Yes.
Do you understand that you cannot imagine non-existence? You want to go over that again? Do you understand that you have not got the capability of imagining non-existence?
Oh, I don't really agree. I think that you could imagine it.
Oh! All right. Give me some sort of an example of non-existence.
Just blankness.
That's a concept. And therefore it's something that exists. Nothing is still something. It's still a concept, and therefore it still falls on the line of something that exists. You see, that is what I'm getting at. There is no way you can describe non-existence. Because if you could experience true non-existence, you wouldn't know it, would you?
No, you wouldn't.
Therefore, anything at all that you can possibly conceive of must fall on the other side of the line. It must exist, yes?
Yes.
So if you have any kind of a concept at all of all that is, it must exist simply because of your capability of imagining it. Does that help?
No, I don't.
Why not? Is that too convoluted?
Yes, it seems to me that it's too intellectual. It's just a game.
Ah, just a game. All right. It can be that, but it is more than that. You truly cannot conceive of non-existence. Let me put it this way. Your society has this notion that that which exists can perhaps somehow become non-existent, and that things, in that sense, which now exist, somehow came out of non-existence. But you see, that is not quite precisely so. You have this notion that there is something and that there is nothing. For now, let us just say, for convenience sake, that nothing represents what you call non-existence, even though that is not precisely so, all right?
Okay.
So you have nothing and you have something. But you see, what many of you forget is that there is a larger category to both of these, and that is everything. Because nothing and something are a part of everything. And you cannot have the concept of everything if you just have nothing or you just have something. You have to have both in order to fulfill the concept of everything. And that's really all that is. Everything that is. Whatever it is all that is. That's all it is. Now, if you're conscious, you are an aspect of whatever it is that does exist. If you have consciousness, that is a reflection of the fact that everything else has that too. It may not have it in the same way. It may not express it in the same way. But everything there is in you, because the universe is holographic. That is basically saying the whole is contained in all of the parts. You, to be aware of yourself, are reflecting a basic attribute of existence itself. If you exist and are self-aware, everything else in its own way must be too, because you are representative in your own way of whatever it is that exists, because you exist. You have that basic property, and you share that property with everything else that exists. That fundamental is a basic property of your existence. If you exist, then anything you can conceive of is an extension of you, and you are an extension of it. It does not have to be looked at as a mind game. I understand that sometimes it can seem that it translates into your language that way, or what you call language that way. But bring it down to its basic level. These are concepts of self-awareness, no matter how it translates. It's not a game on that level. You are aware of yourself. You know you exist. You, therefore, even if you were the only thing, would still fulfill the definition of all that is. If you perceive that there seem to be separate things, and do not necessarily believe that they are connected to you, or that you are connected to them, if that were true, truly not connected, if there were truly a real gap in between you and something else, you would not have the capability of perceiving it, because you cannot perceive what you are not connected to. It can't be done by, in a sense, your own definition. So if you can perceive of it, if you can even conceive of it at all, then it is a part of you. It is an extension of you. You are an extension of it. You are connected. You are one and the same event, one and the same concept. Everything you imagine, in a sense, is a reflection of what you are, of your universe, the universal reality of existence you are. Anything you can conceive of is contained within your awareness of self. Does that make sense?
Yes, Bashar, but I feel like all of this is just too intellectual. Like, I'd like to feel like a personal feeling of connection, and this is not getting me...
I understand. We're getting there. We're getting there. Now, you have heard us discuss many times, perhaps, the issue of doing what excites you the most, yes?
Yes.
Have you ever felt excited in your life?
Yes.
Real excited?
Yes.
Real happy?
Yes.
What do you think that feeling is?
Pleasure.
What does that mean?
I like it.
All right, you like it, but what is it? What is that feeling? What is that energy? Or let me put it this way. Why can't that feeling be your connection to all that is? What do you assume that connection would be like, that level of excitement wouldn't be sufficient? Do you imagine it ought to be bigger than that? Do you have a concept for how you think it ought to feel?
More like a personal friend.
A personal friend. Do you know what it feels like to have a personal friend?
Yes.
Then why not simply apply that feeling to the universe? What stops you from feeling that way about the universe? That's your choice, you see. You can have whatever type of relationship with all that is that you want to. All that is doesn't care. They're all valid to all that is. If you want to feel that you have a personal friendship with all that is, act that way. All that is will respond in that manner. But don't wait for it to happen. Make it happen. Create it to happen. Be that idea. Be that relationship. The universe will reflect that to you. If that's what you want, act that way. Does that make sense?
Yes, I was wondering, how do you feel your connection with all that is?
Any way I want to. Any way at all, because I know they're all real, they're all true, they're all valid. And I know they're all representative of the all that is that I am. Any way you choose to relate to it is representative of the all that is you are. Because remember, from my point of view, you are simply one of the ways all that is has of relating to itself. You see, I don't see a separation at all between you and what you call all that is. I see you as all that is, relating to itself in this particular way, and that particular way, and that way, and that way, and this way. We are all that is, relating to itself in all the ways it can, because that's the definition of all that is. It can be anything at all it can imagine itself to be. It can even be an all that is that doesn't feel connected to itself. But it's still all that is. Because by definition, anything you can conceive of has to fit in the category of all that is. That's what it means to be a multidimensional creator. So if you, as the all that is you are, the all that is that has been experiencing this idea, this notion of being disconnected from itself, wishes to feel a connection in a particular way, create it. Be that all that is. And you'll have that feeling. You'll have that relationship. You will be that idea. It is as simple as that. You can generate that feeling. Generate it. Generating the feeling is the creation of that relationship. It is not a stand-in. It is not proxy. It is not one step removed. It is the relationship. Because all you're doing is being in relation to yourself. The all that is that you are in whatever way you want to be. That's why you have free will. You can choose. This is how I choose to believe I am related to all that is. I wish to experience it as a close, personal friendship. Then whatever that means to you, act that way. That's the way you'll experience it. And that's the way the universe will feed into you. Understand?
Yes.
Does that help you?
Yes.
Are you sure?
No, but I feel like I'm taking up too much time.
Why? Why do you feel so undeserving? Do you believe you are worthy of love?
I'm working on it.
All right, that's up to you. All that is loves you unconditionally so much that it will allow you to work on the idea of self-love as long as you want to. It loves you that much. It is that much of a personal friend that it will allow you to be whoever you desire to be. That's how much it loves you. You see, that is to some degree the dichotomy in your society, in your dimension of experience. All that is so willing to support the you really prefer to be that at times you can't feel it because it is so non-interferive, so non-directing. It will let you be whoever it is you are working on being in exactly the way you want to. As soon as you decide that you are deserving of love and want to have that close personal friendship with all that is, it will be there for you instantly. But until you decide yourself with your own free will that you deserve it, all that is loves you so much, it will let you spend as much time as you want figuring out that you do in fact deserve it. And you don't ever have to figure that out. All that is will still love you unconditionally, even if you choose to never figure that out. That's how much it loves you. That's how much of a friend it is. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you also for being our friend and for allowing me to be yours in whatever way I choose to be. Shilling!
Thank you for the work you do for us. I don't know how to say it. It's so wonderful to have your attention and your love here.
Oh, I thank you for yours as well and the work you all do for us.
Good. Thank you. I'm one of those fortunate people who is doing what excites me. But it only happened to me about 10 years ago when I came upon some knowledge about the human voice and making it stronger. It's been very exciting. Can I say the way you handle the channel's body is wonderful. You widen the rib cage and tighten the diaphragm and make great space so that it's exciting to listen to you. You make so much energy. Thank you. You're a perfect example of how people should use the body for speech. Anyway, I'm very fortunate to have that. But I notice most people in the world today are not using their full voice.
Correct.
They're inhibited from childhood and in life. They're shy. Now, they have a fear of having a big voice. My job is to give them big voices, and I'm willing to do it. And they are to a degree.
Thank you.
Thank you. I always talk fast. I get so excited.
You do, by the way, teach them the difference between big voice and being obnoxious, yes?
Well, I teach a lot of young rock singers, so some of them are a little obnoxious, but at least I show them how to...
teasing.
Right. No, it's a good point there, because I do that, but I'm always hoping that I will save them from hurting their voices. But the thing is, people have a fear. They will come to me for a few lessons and get great progress, and then just when they're about to really make a breakthrough, they will have something come up in their lives and they won't continue. And it seems to me there is a fear of having a big voice. There is a fear of speaking in public.
Of course, because then you get noticed. And then you have to back up what you said.
Yes.
And not that many individuals in your society yet have that much conviction about who they are.
Yes, I guess that's true. So I'm trying in a way to do something for them they may not be able to have, but at least some of them can.
All right.
But I want to ask you a question here.
Before you do, I have a suggestion, if I may.
Yes.
Thank you. You can remind them that some of the tiniest little animals in your world have some of the biggest voices. They're not afraid of being who they are.
That's good. Yes, indeed.
It is all right. You can remind them to be exactly who they are, and they can still announce it quite boldly.
Good.
They do not have to meet anyone else's expectations before they allow themselves to announce who they are, no matter who that is.
Great. Also, I find that as they get bigger voices, they get healthier, and their body, their health improves.
Yes, and vice versa, as you say.
And people who listen to them feel very good. It has a healing effect to listen to good voices, just like yours is to us. But they say things like, when they crack on a note, they say, oh, I should be shot. Oh, that is dreadful, I should be banished. Now, was there a time in our history when the voice was so important, perhaps used for healing or survival, that if you had a bad voice, you were shot?
Well, yes and no. Let me put it this way. The idea of individuals' fears sometimes is that they recognize when an individual knew the control, the vibrational tonality, what has now come in your society to be called an incantation that changes dimensions. When they realized that much power, that type of energy very often set up fears in other individuals, and they very often killed the individuals who really knew how to use that tonality.
Yes.
So in a sense, all that is, to some degree, in many individuals in your society now, is a self-reflective condemnation of the time when they knew how to key into that idea, and are simply being cautious because they do not want to offend other individuals who might resent them expressing that much power when no one else seems to want to do so.
Very true, very true. I believe Seth at one stage told us that the pyramids were built by the sound of the human voice, and I've been hung up on that for a while.
The older ones. Not what you may call the more recent ones. Some of them by what you may call the voice, incantations, enchantings, tonal vibrations. Some of them through instrumentation. Some of them through vibratory sonics, crystals, and the like. But all the same principle. Vibratory tonality, yes. Sonics in that way. Sonic levitation. Now, your society is beginning to discover that again in many different ways. And there can be, in time, similar kinds of symphonies that took place in the past. Let me describe briefly the construction of certain very ancient structures, some of which do not exist on the surface of your planet anymore. Some of them subsided with the idea of the submergence of Atlantis and other island masses. But this idea can occur once again. When you recognize that every particular different object has a signature vibration, and you find a way, in that sense, to match that frequency, to harmonize that frequency, and unlock it from what you may call the gravitational effect, it will then float, levitate into place. If you can, shall we say, take all the elements of a building, find the signature vibration of all the structural elements, and then find out what the signature pattern would be if all those elements were locked together in their final form, and project that final signature pattern, all the elements will simply rise up and lock into place. And that will be it.
Wow.
You will have built a building completely through sound, and it will be a symphony to watch.
Wonderful.
Understand?
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much. Now a little personal question.
All right,
I want to get this technique out to the world if I can, and I'm having trouble. I seem to be getting people to assist me who don't have my same dream, and I make mistakes in choosing personnel. This year feels good. Does it seem like this year I am on the right track?
This is the year of conviction in your society. The idea, once again, is to remember that you are one event. Simply allow yourself to attract all the individuals that are also representative of that event. And do understand there really are no interruptions. Learn what you can from anyone you interact with, but also remember, while other individuals will interact with you, they interact with you and you interact with them as service to each other. It's not that you need each other to be the complete idea you already are. Let them give you the gift of serving you at the same time. Remember, they have their own ideas, and serve them by allowing them to extract out of your combined interaction what they need to further their ideas, even as you extract from them what you need to further your ideas. You are serving each other, but you do not need each other to be complete. You understand the difference?
I do. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much.
We love you very much.
Our unconditional love to you. Shooting!
Good evening, Bashar.
I beg your pardon.
Good evening, as time is on our planet.
Oh, thank you very much. Good day to you.
I'm very happy and excited to have had my name picked.
One moment. I didn't believe you. I'm very happy to have had my...
Well, I am.
Oh!
And I just want to take the opportunity to tell you how coming here has meant a lot to me. I've thought about you a lot.
Well, thank you very much
for
your co-creation.
Thank you. My question was going to be about my Thursday night meditation channeling group, which has been going on for about a year and a half.
All right.
And most of us came tonight as a field trip.
Oh, field trip. All right.
And half have left. I'm beginning to feel that maybe my time with the group in as concentrated effort as I had been putting into it perhaps should be lessened.
All right. Why?
I'm finding that I'm interested in other ways of developing.
All right. Do you believe that all ways are valid?
Yes.
All right.
So my basic question has to do with my own personal interaction between groups and individuals. Because I do find a lot of many different things exciting, and I like to explore, and some of them are extremely different from others.
All right.
And somehow I feel
Should not a toolbox be versatile?
Yes.
All right.
Okay. Well, a toolbox can exist within an environment that is sometimes the same environment. So what the question is sometimes I feel disconnected from other people on a continuing basis since I have so many short-term
Now, you can recognize that someone may have a very different preference from you, but that doesn't mean you have to feel disconnected. Can you not feel unified in your diversity?
Oh, yes, I do.
All right. Then how do you feel disconnected in that sense? Or are you simply talking about attached detachment?
Oh, I think I've mastered attached detachment.
Oh, all right. Then that's another tool you can use.
Yes.
And you can teach it as well.
Yes. I would now like to move into a different area and a different experience, which I have not had too much of.
Such as?
Which is more of a personal integration with other people.
In what way?
More sustained, working together, more projects together, perhaps socializing.
All right.
Rather than just scattered individual time.
Well, then why not simply design the project that is most exciting to you and assume that it will attract the individuals that will necessarily remain in that project with you for the duration of time that feels correct?
So you mean kind of like a business type of project? Or?
That's up to you. Simply understand that if that is your strongest desire, then if you give free rein to your imagination and follow it and trust it, then the project you design from your imagination will obviously be representative of your desire and will be designed as such to attract the individuals to interact with you in the way that satisfies you. Why would you design a project that would not satisfy your desire?
Well, what if my desire were marriage? Not that it is. This is a hypothetical question. How would you design such a project?
There are many definitions to marriage, but we'll let you proceed for now.
Okay. Cohabiting with someone.
Yes.
Okay.
And so?
Well, having not anybody particularly in mind, how do you begin?
You begin, first of all, by understanding what it means to you, how you define it. Why that particular manifestation, if that is a particular manifestation in your mind, is the one that represents that feeling, that idea. Remember, first of all, that the first marriage, once again, is of yourself to yourself. Reflect back to you the radiance you are giving off. Understand?
Yes.
And there can be many versions of the idea you call marriage.
Yes.
But again, if you really feel that you are precisely in tune with a true inner knowing about what it is you will attract in your life to really represent who and what you are, then once again, all you have to do to attract it is simply start acting like who you know you are, and you will attract it automatically. Someone will be fascinated by the you allow yourself to be. You understand?
Yes, I do. Thank you.
Does that satisfy you?
Yes. You don't believe me?
Just checking. Want to be sure that the understanding is also not hypothetical.
No, I think I do understand, and I feel that maybe with me it's just timing. You know, I'm still working on being who I am, and I'm not really ready to have someone yet.
Do you really understand that even while you are working on being who you are, you're still being who you are?
I'm being who I am, yes. But when I am who I am, where what excites me is having a, quote, marriage.
Yes.
There will be one.
Yes.
So
at the same time, do understand that very often, not in every case, what you call a marriage is not in and of itself necessarily a goal. Being who you are and doing the things that represent who you are as an individual is what usually automatically attracts whatever kind of marriage needs to be there to reinforce who you are as an individual.
Yes.
Does that help?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
I now pronounce you, you and you.
Thank you.
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
I want to thank you for your sharing and beautiful reflections to us.
You as well.
My question is, I'm very excited about healing in the arts.
Oh, healing in the arts.
And I wonder if you could reflect some of the relevance that you see from your point of view.
about the 5-element theory in Oriental medicine and shamanism and crystal healing and one more, really brief, on each one, real brief, and medical astrology.
My. 5-point is the symbol of humanity and the extension of the physical senses, and how they all simply funnel back into the core connection to nature. The idea of the balance of the polarities in that sense. Shamanism is much the same. The connection to nature, the connection to the vibration of your crystal dimension. Your dimension is a crystallization of the infinite. One particular crystallization of the infinite. Everything in your physical dimension is representative, especially in what you call astrological terms, representative of, shall we say for now, frozen patterns of energy that represent your original agreements of interaction. So in the reading of the stars, whether medically or in any other methodology, what in a sense you're doing is looking at a slice through a constantly changing holographic structure, a frozen slice of vibrational reality. And then you can look at another slice and another slice and another slice, and you can see what you call a continuum or a progression or an evolution, if you wish, which in a sense is an illusion.
Mm-hmm.
But all it comes back down to, all the methodologies you have described, is recognizing fundamentally that everything is a matter of different frequencies of one primal medium, out of which everything is crystallized.
Okay.
Now, if you have affinities to different signature approaches, different signature methodologies, then that is you getting in touch with and through different faces you have experienced in your multitudinous lives. And at different times, you may have to put on a different face to relate to a particular person that comes to you for assistance.
Okay. So the integration of what I'm feeling within myself is also why I'm being drawn to different areas, so that I'm able to differentiate when someone comes to see me, revealing what the methodology is.
You match, like a mirror, their vibration, so you can be of best service to the them they are.
Okay.
By being so versatile a tool yourself.
Okay.
Understand?
Yes.
You are, in that sense, a lovely instrument that can play many tunes.
Okay. Thank you very much.
We thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Bashar.
Having a good day.
It's good to be with you, and it's good to be with everybody here. I am excited.
Oh, all right.
All the way through.
Me too.
Great. You too? Good answer. In listening to you and reading Communion and hearing about reticulum energy and being aware a lot more of my dream state, both in my sleep state and in my waking state, I had a dream last night, and I woke up at 3 in the morning to realize that I really didn't wake up other than to go into another level of a dream.
All right.
And what had happened was, earlier in the evening, I saw a picture of you that I saw in a magazine and had the thought to take it out and put it under my pillow. So as I did that, and I woke up at 3 in the morning thinking that I was awake, but I was at another level of my dream, I thought, oh, get the picture of Bashar, and realized that I could not move, and I was completely vulnerable, meaning naked and in the fetal position. And I was just wondering kind of what was going on. I realized that there was a form of letting go in the form of like vomit, but it was not that. It was just a release of things. I was just curious if you can give me a little feedback on that.
You are, in a sense, shall we say, gaining practice or exercise the plasmic ethereal material of your higher dimensional self. You can no longer move in the physiological sense. Your commands to physically move do not play out the same way in the plasmic material. It is more simply an idea of changing your perspective or your point of view or your attitude. That's how you move in that level. So you are practicing walking with new legs, shall we say, that don't really exist in the physical sense.
Right.
You are being reborn into another level. In a sense, it was a type of umbilical material.
Mm-hmm. What was interesting is there was another dimension of me that was outside of it, looking at me, not being able to move, and going through that whole...
Yes, you are beginning to experience the multi-layeredness of your consciousness.
Yes.
It is infinite.
Yes.
As far outward as you wish to go, you will always find that you are capable of looking back as far into the infinite, into the center, as you wish to. Right. You occupy all those dimensions. All those dimensions occupy you. All of you. All those dimensions occupy you.
Also, and then when I really did wake up, I also get the sense lately that...
When you really did wake up.
Well, when I went into my waking state of dream state. I get the feeling of like expecting to see many people around me, from whether it be many Bashars or reticulums, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Then that's been going on a lot. Is there a lot of activity?
Oh, yes, of course.
Okay.
There is consciousness everywhere. Once again, truly understand, when we talk about the holographic structure of existence, every single thing you could call a point is conscious. And you can differentiate that as many times as you want to. You can have 1 million, 1 billion, an infinite number of points of consciousnesses, and they all can connect into true dimensions, full dimensions of reality.
Great. What I've noticed that I've actually been doing for years as a child all the way up to now is that I picture energy moving in the form of a pyramid down in the middle half of my body. And I've been doing it for years.
The pyramidal form is the lens, the representational lens for electromagnetism in your physiological dimension. And it is, once again, representative of the template upon which all physiological reality is built. Therefore, all electromagnetic force, shall we say, flows along those lines and is focused by that particular symbolic shape.
Okay. So in doing that shape, that's actually, I'm actually asking it and drawing it in closer to me?
Yes. You are looking through a particular, shall we say, type of glass into other dimensional realms. Some of it may be refracted and reflected, a little bit distorted here and there, based upon how it translates in your dimension of experience, but nonetheless, you are opening doorways in that sense. You are learning to see with a different kind of eye.
Great. Well, I do it in this area. Should I look down? No. I get what you're saying.
We thank you.
Thank you very much.
At this timing, allow us to extend also, based upon some of the information we have just discussed, that within what you may now call the next 2 of your weeks of time, because there is, as we have already discussed and outlined, a format change within our interactions with you and an acceleration on different levels, there will be, in the form of what you might call a wrap-up, some guests in the next 2 of your weeks to finalize and crystallize before we go on to the next stage. Some acceleration of energy and some unexpected things. For now, truly, we are approaching the idea where conviction can play itself out in a far broader and a far more profound and a far deeper and more affecting level on all levels of reality, and where, by example, there is sufficient blending for stronger changes to take place, for stronger examples to be given, for stronger energy to be shared, for it now can be absorbed. Even though it will be, in a sense, more energetic and more powerful, it may be experienced as being a little bit more subdued because it covers such a broad area as you understand such things in terms of time and space. The very fabric, the very vibrational reality of existence itself has consciousness, and there are many different doorways that have yet to be opened. Through the next 2 interactions, we shall begin to explore and open some of those new doorways and lay the path and the foundation for some of your own openings. This is now why the event of a new format of the workshop idea will truly allow you, perhaps if you wish, to begin to understand the true simplicity of application, for that is all wisdom is, taking the knowledge that you have and applying it. Allow yourselves the breath of life that is always yours, that ignites the flame within all of your hearts. Allow yourselves to shine, for truly you have never really gone out. And we see your light, and we love your light, for it is by your light that we found you. We thank you for being such a beacon, and we send you our unconditional love. And good day.
kind of go.
Thank you all for being here tonight.
It's blending of higher densities. Those who want a copy of tonight's tape, please see Pamela around the corner. And Daryl and I discussed recently that, may I have your attention, please, for just a moment? Just 1 more minute, please. We strongly suggest the preparation for the workshop, this big change that's coming up, that the self-empowerment workshop is the preparation for that. The new one will be an acceleration even above and beyond that, those of you who attended or know about that. So we have that in audio and video form available at the front desk or at the back. We'll be here for 2 more Thursdays. We strongly suggest you come and hear what that's about. Thank you for coming.